guys, welcome back to our channel. So you guys, today we're going to be working on an art project, and we're going to work on an art project from our favorite characters, or one of our favorite characters, this crazy pigeon that's from the series Don't Let the Pigeon do different things like stay up late or drive the bus. We're gonna make this guy right here using our hands, using flat shapes, 2D shapes like a rectangle and a circle. I'm gonna show you guys very quickly the different supplies that we're gonna need in order to get this project done. First of all, you're gonna need your hand because we're gonna use our handprint to make the actual body of our friend the pigeon. And then you're going to need a pipe cleaner just so that we can use it at the very, very end for his beak. I have a googly eye here for that one-eyed look that he's got going on right at the top. And then I've got my actual supplies like my glue, because I'm going to need to glue these shapes together at the end. I've got an eraser with my pencil just in case I make a mistake when I'm making my 2D shapes, my flat shapes. I've also got a Sharpie here with me so that I can draw on his fantabulous wing. And then I've got, of course, a pair of scissors so that I can cut him out and put them together at the very end. All right, guys, so we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna get started. The very first thing that we're gonna do is we need to create his head out of a circle, okay? So we're gonna use the shape of a circle to create his head. And then we're gonna use the shape of a rectangle to create his neck and our hands to create his body. So the first thing that you're gonna do is pick up your pencil and go ahead and apply your hand to the paper. I'm gonna show you guys how I got these shapes going on right here and also his body, okay guys? Alrighty, so if I go ahead and I place my hand on the paper, I'm going to draw around the silhouette of my hand, making almost like the feathers are going to be your finger shapes, right? So we're gonna use a closed hand, just like that, and I drew around my hand, the silhouette of my hand. It comes out, mine is gonna come out kind of long because I have a bigger hand, right? Probably bigger than a 5-year-old's. And then I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna extend my fingers all the way in so that it looks like he's got his feathers going on toward the back. So that's gonna be toward the back of the bird. And we're going to use this part right here, the flat shape of your hand, for his body. All right, the next thing that I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take my googly eye just so that I know the shape and the size of his head. And I'm gonna put that down on my construction paper as well. I'm gonna hold it with my 4 fingers so that it doesn't slip around on the paper. And then right outside of it, probably half an inch outside of it, I'm gonna create, using a curve, a nice big circle for his head. Remember guys, to keep the circle a little bit bigger than the eyeball because the eyeball needs to sit in the middle of his head. So you're gonna use the curve going all the way around to create that nice flat circle shape. And then I'm going to use my eraser to create a rectangle. So I'm gonna follow the lines of the eraser. Now the rectangle is gonna be for his neck, and he's got a long neck that extends out of his body. So we're gonna use the eraser a couple of times. We're gonna start just by laying the eraser down underneath the head right there. And we're gonna create nice long lines on the side to create that long rectangular shape. Once I reach the end of my eraser, I'm pulling the eraser back so that you can extend or make that neck a little bit longer. We don't want it too far down, but we do want him to have a nice long neck so that he can stick out of your hand, right? I'm gonna go to the other side and extend that line as well. And guys, the fun thing about rectangles and why they're so different from squares, or their cousin the square, is because they have 2 long sides, right? 2 long sides and 2 short sides, instead of like a square that is equal the whole way around. So once I'm done doing the 2 long sides with my eraser, I'm gonna close them off with 2 short sides at the top, one at the top and one at the bottom. And now you've created his body. So now we've got to cut it out so that we can put it together, okay? So I'm gonna take my pair of scissors and I'm just gonna cut around the lines, okay? Cut around the lines. So I'm gonna follow the silhouette of my hand, always being very careful and mindful of how I'm using these scissors and where my hands are as I'm cutting. You're gonna follow along your silhouette of your hand, and remember guys, this is gonna be his body, So the way that your hand shape comes out is the way that his body is going to come out. When we are cutting the fingers, guys, make sure that you don't cut all the way in like the shape of your finger. Just cut the very tips to kind of give it like a wispy feather look. Not all the way in, just nice rounded at the tip to give it like a feathery kind of body. And then at the very end, I'm gonna round it out so that that body comes out nice and round. And now you have his actual body shape, right? So this is going to be for his body at the bottom, toward the bottom, right? Now we're gonna cut out his neck and his eyes. So I'm gonna clean out this part right here, just so I can start on a clean canvas. I'm gonna get rid of that. And I'm gonna start cutting around that curve of the circle, okay guys? So we're gonna follow the curve of the circle. Circles are all about that curve shape. That curve shape is what describes our circles of how we're supposed to draw them out. So following that curve nicely as best as you can and as nice and neat, cut out his head so that you can have a nice rounded shape. We're gonna leave that right at the top for his head. And then I'm gonna cut out his neck, which was in the rectangular shape. And again, I'm cutting two long sides and the very ends, which were the short two sides. Always being mindful of your fingers when you're cutting, guys. Make sure that you ask a parent for help while you're doing this, okay? Always asking a parent for help when you're using scissors or any type of glue or hot glue or anything like that. All right, so we've got his body cut out. I've got his head, his neck, and his actual torso, his body. Don't forget your googly eye is gonna go somewhere in there as well, so we can put that right over here and get rid of our garbage. All right, guys, so here's the gluing portion of our video. We're gonna take his body first. This is going to be the main area, okay? So we're gonna take his body first, and we're going to take the neck, or the rectangle that you have, and we're going to place it right behind the body. So your thumb is actually gonna be the very first feather that is gonna be wisping out, okay? So you want your thumb up first. And you're gonna take your Elmer's glue. I'm gonna open it up here for 1 second. And I'm just gonna put a little drop of glue right on the back of the hand, just so that our shapes are not all glued to the front. It has some dimension to it. It's gonna look like a real pigeon when we're done with him, okay? So there we go, I press it nice and tight, making sure that it's gonna stay in that little area. If you have some glue coming out at you, that's totally okay too. Not a problem. It'll dry up and it'll dry nice and clear, thank goodness for this, right? So now I'm gonna take my circle and I'm going to place a dot of glue on my circle. And I'm going to paste my circle toward, again, the back of the rectangle. That way, if it's facing you, it's starting to take shape, right? It's starting to look like our friend, the pigeon. Now, my friends, we're going to glue this toward the front, the front of the rectangle, just so that the head is popping out at us. And now it's time for the googly eye. So I'm gonna take my googly eye, and right on the back of that googly eye, I'm gonna put a little dab of glue, and I'm gonna put his eye right in the center of his head, because he's got a nice big eye right on the center of his head. All right, guys, this is where our pipe fitter comes in, or our pipe cleaner comes in. You only need a little bit because it's just for his beak. So I'm gonna take probably about 1 inch because I need to fold it in half for his beak. So I cut off about 1 inch worth, and then I'm gonna fold it in half. I'm gonna fold it in half to make a triangular shape, right? So 3 different sides. If I put my finger right here, I can close it off as the 3 different sides. I'm going to pinch it a little bit toward the middle so that it makes a nice little triangular shape. I'm gonna take my glue and put it along the pipe cleaner right here toward the ends, just so that it'll stick to his face. Awesome, awesome. And now we've got our friend, the pigeon. We need to make his wings, and we also need to make his little features on his neck and his eyes so that he can really pop out at us like a little 3D puppet, right? So I'm going to take my pencil first. I have a pencil and I have a Sharpie, but like we know, we can erase pencils and we cannot erase Sharpies, so we don't want to use the Sharpie just yet. So let me use my pencil first to trace. I'm going to trace a line underneath his eye, holding the head because it is freshly glued and I don't want to make a mess. So I held the head and I put that nice little line that's right underneath the eye. I drew it right underneath our friend right here, our art project. And then I'm going to take another rectangle, or I'm going to draw another rectangle right on his neck. So I'm going to go across his neck and draw that rectangle right there that we see in white on his neck, the little detail that we see right here. I just drew that right there on my paper as well. And then for the best part, we're going to do his wing. When you do his wing, you're going to go to the center of his body, okay? The center of his body, and you're going to kind of drag it down and curve, curve, curve until it comes back up. And then like a half a moon, just close it on up, okay? Now, when we are done with our pigeon and we have him all highlighted in blue, oh, his little beak came off here. Let me turn him around so you guys can see him. There we go. He's going to look just like this, except those lines are going to be traced in blue. So I'm going to take my blue Sharpie, or you can use any marker that you may have. A washable marker may be best for you, just in case we make any mistakes. And I'm going to line where I already drew with my pencil, just so that he comes out nice and dark so we can see his little details, okay? So everywhere that I drew with pencil, I'm just going over now with my Sharpie, just to create the detail of our pigeon. Alrighty guys, once you have highlighted what you have traced before, you are all set and you just created the pigeon that is not supposed to stay up late or ride the bus.